Hey, welcome to Dario's Comic School, and today, what will we take a look at? Maybe Danger Girl from Scott Campbell, or maybe a good old Xmen with Joe Madureira, or maybe the Onslaught Saga, or the Onslaught Saga Alpha in Italian, or maybe a cool Tarzan vs. Predator. Well, it's not even the Battle Chasers. Not yet, not today. Today, the video is sponsored by this guy with a guitar in the park. And the video is also sponsored by Salma Hayek and by Sylvester Stallone, Rocky. Yeah, this is my September calendar. So let's check it out. What we're gonna look today at. Today, we will take a look. Let me put this aside, this beautiful commission. Today we'll take a look at the Age of Apocalypse. The Age of Apocalypse. Why the Age of Apocalypse? Why not Ralph Niese Part 2? Well, I should put this, like I guess the X-Men come before the Wolverine, like this. This should be, I guess, the thumbnail. This. Let me see. Ralph Niese Part 2 is easy to make. That's why I'm gonna do it at a separate day, so we spread out the love. And this is just an information because this morning I was walking, I was actually jogging, and then I looked at my watch and I was thinking, this video is sponsored by Casio. No, I was thinking about, man, this feels like the summer of 1969 when I went to Italy and saw the first time this amazing comics. And you might think, okay, what kind of Wolverine is this? Well, this is the Wolverine from the Age of Apocalypse. This is in German. I have it also in Italian and also in English. Yeah, well, if you can figure, I'm a nerd. And this is a very special storyline. Let me show you this. This is like X-Men Alpha, and it's the Italian version, the one I bought in Italy, and I will show you in a second the first comic I bought in Italy. Like something special like this I didn't see or feel in a long time. This felt amazing, and this is very important because this was a summer blockbuster movie in comic form. I mean, look at this. It's how would you say, what is this? I don't even know. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, it folds, and then yeah. And the first introduction I got to comics, like my cousin was a comic buff, and so on the stands in Italy somewhere in I guess August or September, like this was on the stands. Like, wait a second, it's not this one, it's the Italian one. Had a different cover and it was really fat. Like, look, the Italians were crazy enough to print this like 4,900 lire, which is like 5 Deutschmarks back in the days, would be $5, but back in the days this was like $2.50. And look at this. This is all the 4 back paper issues in one. And I also got the American ones, and they're also amazing. So this one understands, and I guess I would assume it's not the first comic I bought in my life, but it feels like this one I'm holding right in my hands is the first, oh fucking glare, it's the first comic I ever bought. Let me see, maybe this is better. Yeah, this is better. This is like the first comic I ever bought in my life back in 1969, and it's Generation Next. I guess Scott Lobdell and Chris Bacalo and a guy called Buckingham. Let's take a look. And I took it home and I read it, and it was awesome. And this is not an overview of the Age of Apocalypse. This is a preview, because I will definitely do the Ralph Niese thing, and then also we need to learn some anatomy. Maybe I will show you something or guide you to David Finch's channel, because he's or maybe to Alfonso Dunn, or I will link it down below. But let me give you a quick overview in what this is. I didn't have this. I started right with Age of Apocalypse, but yeah. It is a summer blockbuster movie in comic form, and it was a summer of 1969 in Italy, and I knew, what do I know? Something happens in the normal Marvel timeline. This happens. There's Legion, and it's the son of of Professor Charles E. Xavier, and he goes back in time to the place before mutants were born, and he wants to kill Magneto before he becomes Magneto. It's like what would happen if you went back in time to kill Hitler. And we see this time, and in Israel, Magneto and Charles Xavier are friends, and this is very, very poetic. And they work in this hospital, and there's maybe someone, and both are talking already about mutants, but it's not yet the time. And so this Legion character travels back in time, and the X-Men travel back in time, and something goes wrong. And look at this cover. Look at this cover. Good Lord, what a storytelling. I think not everything back then was great, but at least they tried. They did try to create great art that moves people, like Magneto grabbing a dying Charles E. Xavier, and here they fight back to back in a bar brawl. And instead of killing Magneto, so I will spoil it a bit, Charles catches somehow the bullet for Magneto and sacrifices himself, he doesn't want his friend to die. And so this becomes never reality, the timeline we know. And from here, things change, and I get goosebumps. And from here, the Age of Apocalypse starts, because now the world knows pretty early on that there are mutants, and that they can be dangerous, and something happens, and Magneto founds the X-Men, and Apocalypse becomes a European dictator, something like a Hitler. And so we start, and the only one who stays in this timeline is Bishop, because Bishop comes from a different timeline. And the comic starts out very, very different than I would say the things we have read. Well, what do I say? This is really not major content, but definitely a bit more mature and for adults. And the art style is great. The storyline is great. We have the X-Men found by Magneto, and things happen. Let me show you a bit of what happens. Sabretooth and Wildchild end up in the X-Men, and they start battling, and Quicksilver is part of the X-Men, and they found Bishop in the ruins of of Manhattan, and Bishop remembers this guy from the day when Charles died. And well, Beast works for Apocalypse and is a strange doctor who makes experiments and is let loose to create even stronger mutants. And Avok and Scott Summers are now working for Magneto, and they are kind of part of the evil side of things. And that's really great. Like, the art is great. The storytelling is great. We see that the world is in decline. There will be soon a world war, a nuclear war, and that the American continent will try to invade Europe and establish a mutant supremacy, while Magneto is a rebel in the heart of America fighting all this evil. And already the setup is very great, and it's this, like, well, what do I say, like Schindler's List meets Rambo, something like this. And not only this, like X-Men Alpha starts it all, and then it splits off into different branches of comics. The X-Men get their shot, like the X-Men have two teams or form two teams. One team will try to, I don't know, what's the mission here? Great art by Joe Madureira. And Gambit will take his externals and travel to the Shi'ar galaxy to get some crystal. Rogue and her team will go, where do they go? They go save some humans. And here, this is the old X-Men mansion. It's totally destroyed. It's just a preview. It's just that you know that this comic was something really great. Nightcrawler takes his team to Avalon to find his mother Destiny so she can do something. And so we have this, like, beautiful setup in the first X-Men comics where everybody's preparing for the missions. And yeah, it's just great. And this is the X-Men get two teams, and then Wolverine gets his run on the Ageofapocalypse. And Wolverine escaped with Jean Grey the North American continent, and they are doing, like, missions for the European resistance. And so these are rebels or rogues, and yeah, he kind of hates Scott Summers, and he's together with Jean Grey, a great love triangle. And this time the hate is for real, because, like, Scott Summers did cause Wolverine to lose his hand, and while he was rescuing Jean Grey from North America. And that's where Scott Summers fell in love with her. And they also have an offspring called Xmen, which seems like a very strange storyline. But this is, like, you see, Scott Summers is now a Cyclops because Wolverine made him a Cyclops. And great art by Adam Kubert, like the cream of the crop, the best artists, the best writers. Is this a masterpiece? Yes and no. It is a masterpiece, and it isn't because, like, you have just 4 issues. So it's the starting issues, the second issue, the third issue, everything goes wrong, and then you have to wrap it up. It's, again, I guess, told in the summer month, and to have, like, longer storylines would have benefited the story, but this is a summer event, and I do respect it for what it is. And here we have X-Men. It's not Cable, it's X-Men. It's a different timeline, but he is created from the seed of Scott Summers and Jean Grey. And we will learn that it was created to be a weapon against Apocalypse and who created him. And so one storyline I don't have here, but it's a really great storyline. I will hopefully get it when I review it in full. Is the storyline where Nightcrawler gets on his mission, and I guess that is by Warren Ellis, and great drawings, Kevin Lashley or something like this, and it's just amazing what they do. Like also very very cool storytelling. And then there's also the Next Generation team. There's the Generation Next. This is a young team formed like Colossus and Shadowcat. Take the new mutants, the young mutants, and train them for a mission masterfully made by Chris Bacalo and wait a second, Lobdell, Bacalo, Mark Buckingham. And so they go in, like Colossus looks just badass. Look at this Colossus, look at it. Like the designs are amazing. Have you seen, like, and he's also badass, like great storytelling. They have a really cool story because like these are the young X-Men, and they go to a really dark place, and it's all very World War II spies. The stakes are high. The drawings are beautiful. Like every panel is just amazing from every comic book. And so you have a saga spanning from X-Men having two teams, Wolverine having his thing, then Nightcrawler going on his mission, the young X-Men going on his mission, and now comes, check this out, the evil guys have their own comic books called Factor X, and it's like from the heart of Apocalypse's how do you say, fortress right in New York. He hunts down everybody who wants to kill him or who opposes him, and Scott Summers and Havok and the other people are like the Gestapo or something like that. But Scott has somehow, he's born and he owes Sinister and Apocalypse, but in his heart he cannot digest what he sees, because like there are human and mutant experiments, and where once stood the Statue of Liberty, now Apocalypse stands, and also his horsemen, who were always loyal to Apocalypse, are also like, they don't want to rule over a destroyed wasteland. So even them, they betray Apocalypse, and it's a great story. It's a story about opportunism, betrayal, what's true to your heart, and it's really great. Like Beast or Dark Beast has the time of his life, like just creating even stranger things. And Steve Epting, not every drawing is really cool, but I really love his style. And then, yeah, it's just great storytelling. And we see also like here Gambit and his externals. Who drew this? Let me check it out. Drawn by? Come on. Okay, I will wrap it up in a second, but I will tell you, like this storyline was for me like one of not the best storyline, because like they're in space and they're fighting some stuff, but it's also kind of cool. Now Tony Daniel is drawing this. Like the drawings are really good. Fabian Nicieza. Well, this was kind of forgettable, but Gambit is totally cool. He has his team, and they brawl, but they brawl in space. And this comic I also bought in Italy, and just like look at the cover, Dark Beast hovering over Cyclops and Jean Grey. And what this makes it so special is that it was one of my first comics, but also like the storylines were very cool, very much the stakes were really high. Every character was under tension, like Cyclops governs this prison where they keep mutants or experimental creatures for Apocalypse, and he's loyal to his family, to his brother, but he starts to doubt Apocalypse's plan, and his brother Havoc is like very loyal to Apocalypse, and so every character is under a lot of pressure and under a lot of weight, and this makes the storyline very great. And also Scott and Jean Grey have a backstory, and this is when he recognizes her, and we get a backstory how Sinister made something out of Cyclops and Jean Grey. Like I said, he wants to create a weapon against Apocalypse, and he knows that it has to be maybe a mutant, so it can go undetected. And so we get this great storyline. And yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but really great stories. The only story that's missing here is like Nightcrawler, but I will get that. And well, Gambit in space looks very, very pretty, but the storyline is kind of, I don't know, they just battling some space aliens and talking about reality and something like this. For me, one of the weakest, but also here, betrayal, lots of pressure, Apocalypse having his agents everywhere, and no easy choices. And what I didn't show you now is like how great really like Wolverine really shines. Really shines. Like, look at this first scene after they helped humans to escape from America. Like, they land here in Eurasia, and it just looks amazing, and it's just great freaking storytelling. A lot of battles, nothing is won easy. Some things are cut very short, but I will go into these. And yeah, let me tell you, the X-Men have also a very, very good storyline, great battles, not all perfect, but definitely a great feel to it. I don't know, some of it is very dramatic, but well, it's a short in 4 issues, like you cannot tell too much, but the X-Men really deliver. Joe Madureira's X-Men in the Age of Apocalypse, like really, really beautiful, very cinematic, and sorry for the chaotic overview, but yeah, the X-Men in the Age of Apocalypse are really great. See ya.